Just off the A6, between Kettering and Market Harbour, there's a curious triangular manor house called Rushton Lodge. I say triangular because the house doesn't have 4 sides, only 3. It's a place now managed by English Heritage, but it was built in the time of Elizabeth I by one of her courtiers, Sir Thomas Tresham. Tresham was originally Protestant, like his queen, but later he reverted to Roman Catholicism, and he spent 15 years in prison for his pains. During his time as a prisoner, he devoted his days to studying the Christian faith, and he became totally preoccupied with the doctrine of the Holy Trinity, God as 3 in 1. When he was eventually freed from prison, he built himself this huge 3-sided manor house, not just a house with 3 sides, but also with 3 enormous chimneys and sets of 3 windows on each side going up all 3 floors. Absolutely everything about the house is based on God the Holy Trinity. Even the family coat of arms has 3 trefoils. Thomas Tresham became obsessed with the number 3, but in a way he wasn't all that unusual. To a lesser extent, many of us think in 3s. How often when 2 calamities occur do you hear people say, there's bound to be a 3rd? And for myself, I remember clearly that as a child, I was preoccupied with things happening in 3s. If I trod on a crack in the paving stones, I always trod on 2 more to make it right. Don't ask me why, for goodness sake. There are psychologists who could tell you, I expect, but on the whole, I'm happy not to know, especially as it doesn't seem to be a life-threatening condition. Anyway, as far as 3 goes, what about all you football and rugby and cricket fans? Why is it thought to be so great for a player to get what you call a hat-trick? And French people, who are very meticulous about such niceties, always reserve the 3-fold kiss, one on the first cheek, one on the other cheek, and then one on the first cheek again, for their close family and their very most intimate friends. There is something special about 3. After all, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, like any good sermon. So, why am I on now about the number 3? Well, tomorrow is Trinity Sunday, when we celebrate our faith in God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It may seem a very complicated doctrine, but that's because it's trying to describe what is really beyond all description, the glory, the majesty, the mystery of God. But the traditional doctrine of the Holy Trinity does remind us of the various ways in which we can ourselves experience the love of God as a caring Father in whom we trust, as a fully human being but also divine named Jesus, a real-life example for us to follow. And thirdly, as the Spirit of love, Spirit of justice and compassion, who can be alive and active in our own hearts and minds if we open them up. Each one of us who calls himself Christian has been baptized in the name of the Holy Trinity, in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That 3-fold way in which God is there for us is at the very heart of our faith, at the heart of all our hope, and even during a pandemic time. I'm just old enough to remember how in the early summer of 1940, when France had fallen to the Nazis and Britain was gripped by fear of invasion and despair for the future, Winston Churchill broadcast to the nation one of his greatest ever speeches. He began his message of reassurance and hope on that day with 4 very simple words. Today, he said, is Trinity Sunday. May God the Holy Trinity keep you all safe and strong and full of hope, of joy and of love.